Steve, you've covered this league for a long time in Minneapolis, in Chicago, nationally here. With Nikola Jokic, and I've been trying to think of this for several days here about who the best comparison would be to him historically. Because to me, and again, I've always qualified this with I have very cursory NBA knowledge. I cover the NFL for a living. That takes up a good majority of my time. But to me, he looks in every regard like a throwback type of a player from the 50s in terms of everything from the haircut to the way that he shoots the ball to the pass first type of mentality at times. If you have a comp through your entire time covering the league for the Joker, who is it?
I'm not going to go back nearly that far. I think he reminds me in a lot of ways of Tim Duncan. Low to no profile away from the court. His accent sort of limits his engagements with the media. Well, with Duncan, it was just his simple stoicism and where he played and not having a flashy game, facilitating teammates. I don't think Duncan had any top 75 guys at his side when, he helped that team win 5 championships. And, David Robinson at the start. But, certainly later, Parker and Ginobili, Hall of Famers, but largely because they played with Tim Duncan. And I think Jokic, to me, is reminiscent of that. He didn't excite people, and it usually, to use a popular term these days, the casuals, people that aren't diehard basketball or NBA fans, might not engage as much with Jokic's game, same as Duncan, the big fundamental, as Shaq called him. And, that's not as exciting as the dunks and the barrage of three-point shots and, ferocious, give me that rebounding type of things. So that's my comp.
And I made the same point earlier, Ash. I don't know that if you, and again, I'm certainly in that casual category, and I think that a lot of people, especially young people, consume the game now through highlight reels, right? It's YouTube and it's a highlight on Twitter here and there. I don't know that there's a single Jokic highlight that you just sit back and go, wow, that was amazing. There's no, LeBron James, Michael Jordan level thing. It's just when you sit there and watch him through an entire 48-minute game and everything that he does up and down the court and the way that he creates things for other people. And then somehow, again, even without the highlights, you get to the end of the game and he's got 30, 20, and 11. And you go, wow, that was a remarkably effective game for somebody who maybe isn't going to have a single thing that's in the SportsCenter top 10.
Well, I mean, I'm sure you can find highlight reels of his passes, and a lot of those are breathtaking. Now, admittedly, I mean, his court vision is one of his greatest strengths. Well, we can't look through his eyes, but we see the end result when he sees cutting players and opportunities and openings that very few people could hit and delivering that ball. I feel a little bad for him from the standpoint that if the improbable were to happen and Miami were to claw its way back and steal these finals at this point, I'm not sure the referendum on Jokic would change. I think people would pile on and say, oh, well, see what happened? Yeah, it's as if he doesn't have any margin for error. He had 4 assists in Game 2. He scored more. They lost Game 2, and all of a sudden it's, well, why didn't he have more assists? So it's an odd sort of imbalance against this guy. And part of it is just playing for Denver. I mean, the Mountain Time Zone, how many primetime games do they get? If they get national TV, they're the second game usually. And on the East Coast, that gets awfully late. And, again, you have to want to watch a Nuggets game. They're not thrust in front of you, the way the Lakers and the Celtics and, back in the day, the Chicago Bulls with Jordan and all. So, I think it's still unfair, but I don't think any of that bothers him either. I mean, he doesn't really care. So I will be happy for a guy who's one of the best players I've ever seen if he's able to finish this off and maybe, have a little less of a shaky pedestal to stand on.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.